This conference will now be recorded.
So we will get started. Let others join. So we will talk about security groups, very important topic for your exam as well as your interview or wherever you go. You need to understand this very carefully because most of the people don't understand this concept fully. And when they sit for the interview, they are being tricked on a lot of questions on this particular topic. This is very, very important topic as well. So security groups are like virtual firewalls. So we saw yesterday when we created the EC2 machine, and you would have heard what our friend also just told now, right? So if the security group, if you don't allow appropriate port and access and the source IPs, then you will not be able to log into the machine at all. So it's just like your virtual firewall. So we have two rules. One is inbound and outbound. So the term for inbound is ingress, for outbound is egress. So in the exam, you will only see ingress and egress, but it means nothing but inbound and outbound rules. So very important, changes in security group configuration acts immediately, which means you make the change immediately, you will be able to see the result. Earlier, before this, we had some firewalls softwares. So for there, what we have to do, we have to change the firewall configuration. We have to restart the firewall service itself, right? And we need to wait, and we used to do only over the weekend. So you have to raise a request, and somebody from the firewall team will make the change, and they will restart the firewall router, and then you will go test your application. All these are not necessary. As you make the changes immediately, your changes will be effected. So security groups are called first line of defense for your system. So they are the first line of defense. So when we say about this first line of defense, this particular line or the word will change when we see the other service like VPC, right? There that will become defense in depth. Okay, so right now let's make it as first line of defense. So we call it as first line of defense for your system. So this is the one that is you are putting a kind of a security check there, like who can be allowed to access the system. So again, as we keep on saying, right, by default, everything in AWS is private, which means you don't have access. So if you don't attach any security group or you don't do anything, all inbound traffic is blocked by default. So you will not be able to access the application. And if you don't allow any particular protocol, no one will be able to access your instance using that protocol, for example, SSH, right? So if you don't allow SSH, then you will not be able to SSH for Linux machines, RDP for Windows machines. Any rule edit on security group have immediate effect. That's what we saw, right? We will prove all these things, right? So any rule edit on security group have immediate effect. Inbound rules also apply over outbound rules automatically. So security groups are stateful. That means you have to write only the inbound rules. Okay, outbound rule is open by default, and the security groups you don't have to say write anything for the outbound rule. So that is stateful. It is like this, right? Say somebody is coming to your house. Say Raju is coming to your house. What you will do normally outside your house, you will say welcome Raju. Right? Okay, then he will come inside, and after you have a meeting with him, you don't put inside the house go out Raju, because it is implied that when he comes he will go out. So that is stateful. Okay, so that is where your security groups are. You say who can come in, but you don't have to explicitly say who needs to go out, right? So similarly in the security groups, you don't have to worry about the outbound rules. You only modify or change your inbound rules. That is why security groups are stateful. Okay, when we say stateful, there should be something stateless, which is called knuckle, that is network access control list. When we talk about VPC networking, we will talk more detail on knuckle, but knuckle is stateless, and security groups are stateful. Very, very important. You don't have a deny rule in security group. You can only allow. This is a place where they will trick you in the interview. They will ask you, okay, you are having your EC2, you are having your security group, everything is set up, and suddenly your manager is coming and saying, can you block the IP 1.2.3.4, right? And everybody will say they can go do it in security group, which is not correct, because security group doesn't have any deny rules. It can only allow. That means what? If I say you allow SSH 22, it is implied all other things are denied. Okay, it is implied all other things are denied, but you cannot explicitly deny anything in security group. So please keep this in mind. There are no denied traffic, only allow is there. You can allow the source to be itself. So what does this means is, say for example, you have security group A and security group B. Okay, one security group A is attached to the application server, one security group B is attached to your database server. What will happen in the database server? You can say, please allow the traffic to the database only whenever the traffic comes from the security group A. That means source itself can be a security group. It need not be only IP, it can be a security group also. Okay, so that is where it says you can allow the source to be itself. There can be multiple security groups on an EC2 instance. Yes, you can attach multiple security groups. Unlike your EPS, you can attach multiple security groups on a single EC2 instance. So you cannot block a specific IP address using security group, but by using a network access list, which we will see later, right? So only thing keep in mind, very important, security groups are stateful. The reason for stateful is you have to write only the inbound rule, outbound rule is automatically allowed. Okay, that is stateful. Very important thing, you cannot deny any traffic. It has only allow rules. You can only allow certain things to come in. All others are implied, it is not used. So when I say welcome Raju, it implies that all others except Raju cannot come inside. Correct? Except Raju cannot come inside. If you go to the hotel and there is a kitchen, you will say only admission for staffs. That means what? All others are. It implies that all others should not enter that room, right? So that's an inbound rule only for your hotel people who are working in the hotel, right? Only for the hotel staff. So that means only those people are allowed inside. Rest everybody, it is implied they are not allowed. So just like that, your security groups also acts like your stateful. So security groups are fundamental units of your network security in AWS. Without this, your application or your server will not be reachable, or it cannot work. It cannot take the traffic. They control how the traffic is allowed in and out of your EC2 machine. So this WW stands for internet. Okay, so your inbound traffic is coming, and there is a security group. Only if the traffic is allowed, SSH is allowed, you will be able to go inside. By default, outbound is allowed. So once it goes inside, automatically it will come outside whenever the traffic is, when a request is done, the response is sent out via the same traffic, but still you need not write any rules for the outbound. Okay, very important. This security group is not inside this machine. Okay, it is outside this machine. That is why when you delete this machine, the security group will still be there. Okay, that means this particular security group is attached to the NIC card, right? Elastic Network Interface card. Network interface card, just like our LAN cable in our office or in our home. What happens when you plug in the LAN cable in my house? I will get a public IP. When I remove that, I will only have a private IP. That means the IP and the security groups are all attached to the network card, not to the machine. That's why even if you terminate the machine, your security group will still be there. So always keep in mind, this security group is not inside the EC2, it is outside the EC2. So it first comes and checks the security group. If it is allowing the traffic, then it will go to the machine. If it is inside the machine, it cannot get inside at all, right? So it's always outside the machine. Keep that in mind. Just remember this picture, you will not get confused. Is the most fundamental skill to learn to troubleshooting network issues. Any issues that you have, connection reset, connection peer, connection timeout, all those things you will immediately need to come into the mind and go and secure security groups that is being attached to the machine. So security groups are acting as firewall on your EC2 instances. They regulate the access to the ports, authorized IP ranges, IPv6 and IPv4, control of inbound network from other to the instance, and control of outbound unit from the instance to another. So this is how we have, like type SSH, we have protocol, what type of protocol it is, what is the port range, and the source. Source can be 0.0.0/0 means anywhere from the internet, right? It means all IPs in the world, 0.0.0/0. When there is a specific IP, you have to specific IP /32. /32 represents a single IP. And then description is optional. If you want, you can add some description for what you have added this rule. If you go to any organization, the best practice recommended by AWS for security group is for SSH or RDP, you need to have a separate security group. And for all other application traffic, you need to have a separate security group and both attached to the machine. That's a recommendation, but people don't follow that judiciously. Okay. So security group, as I told you, one security group can be attached to multiple EC2 instance. So if you have only one security group, you can attach to a number of instances. Also, you can attach multiple security groups to one EC2 machine also. So it is a region scope. So if you are creating a security group within VPC region combination, then it cannot move out of that. Okay, so it cannot move to another region. Suppose you created a security group in Northern Virginia, you cannot see that in Mumbai. It is not global, it is only a regional. As I told you, it does live outside the EC2. So very, very important. If your traffic is blocked, the EC2 will not see the traffic. Okay. So it's good to maintain one separate security group for SSH or RDP access. Whenever your application is not accessible, you're getting a timeout, then it may be a security group issue. You need to go and troubleshoot in security group. If your application gives a connection refused error, then it's an application error, not the security group, or some issues with your application, or the application is not started or something. All inbound traffic is blocked by default. Okay, all inbound traffic is blocked by default. All outbound traffic is authorized by default. So when you create a security group, the inbound rule will be empty, outbound rule will be all open. Okay, so let's go and see this practically and prove this, right? For that, we need a machine and we need to create a security group. So what we will do, we will create one custom security group without any inbound rule. We will create a machine, attach that and try to see if we can log in, and then keep adding and see if we are able to log in. Please stop me wherever you have any issues. Okay. Just go to EC2 on the left hand side. Under networking, you will have security groups. Okay. Click on this security group. Don't create the security group while creating the machine, because based on the machine, it will automatically write a rule either for RDP or SSH. We don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, I'm just giving this name, my 0724 security group. Description also give something. Okay, any description, it can be anything, right? Then which VPC, just leave this all default unless we learn about VPC. Don't change anything in the VPC. Whenever I create a security group, custom security group, by default the inbound rules are empty. See the outbound rule, all traffic, all port range, all protocol, destination allowed to all IPs. So that means they are stateful. So you only have to worry about your inbound rule, not with the outbound rule. Okay. Tags are optional. If you want, you can create the tags. So let's just create some tag, because we didn't create anything in tag, right? So suppose you are in a project code, right? You have a project code, say P001 is your project code. Okay, then I say project -dl, your distribution list, right? A@a.com, right? Something you have, some distribution list, right? You also have a, say, a cost center to your, where you charge your money and all, right? You have your cost center C001, for example. These are all there, something you will have for your project, right? So go and enter this. What will happen when there is a bill coming in, and if they wanted to go and ask somebody who created this security group, without the tags, your finance team cannot find out who created. So based on this, so the organization will mandate you to enter certain parameters, like say business unit, cost center, project code, your who is the owner of this, I mean your project manager, and your project's distribution list, how they can contact you, right? All those things will be there. You will have some business line or LOB, line of business. So many things you have in every organization, and there will be some maybe 10 or 15 parameters, key value stores like this, where they will make it mandatory for you to create this. Without this, is anything created, they will write some automation to delete your resource. So that way, when the bill comes, it is easy for your finance team to check, right? Which team has consumed more. And if for example, last month you consumed $100, and this month from your team, they see $150, they will go through this and they will question why, what happened. Did you get a new project? Why did you increase the resource, right? Maybe you're doing some POCs, some explanation you need to give. They need to know that it's a valid, somebody has created, it's a valid one. Right? For all these things, you need to add your tags. As per AWS, they are optional, okay? As per AWS, they are optional because that depends upon each and every individual team and company. But as per our organization, it is mandatory to have tags because of this reason. Okay, so this is what we have. The security group by 724 SG. Security group always starts with SG hyphen, and we have some 17-digit ID here, unique ID. Okay, now let's go back to create an instance, right? So whatever that we saw there, right? Whatever effect that you do is immediate, whatever changes you do is immediate. So please keep all that in mind. So when we demonstrate this, you need to stop me, ask me if I don't show you that, okay? So something, right? I just wanted to create one system, that's all, nothing else. Go down, all this is fine. Key pairs, of course, you need a key pair without which you cannot log in. Don't create a new key pair for each and every machine. Try to create one so you don't have to maintain many. Okay. In the network settings, so don't ask it to create it, because see, since it's a Linux, it will automatically allow SSH. Then you will not know how all this works, right? So make it select existing security group and go to your security group that we created 724 SG and select this. Okay, select this, and we are just leave all the rest default. Go ahead and launch this machine. While this machine is coming up, let's go and see if we can get our all the SSH ready. I'm going into the folder where I have the key, and then I'm starting the terminal so that I don't have to give the full path for the key. I can only give the key name ssh-i 0201.pem ec2-user at, I have to take my either the public domain name or the public IP. Okay. Still pending. Just change to running. Now let's go and make this change. I have attached my security group. I'm trying to access. I haven't given any inbound rule, so none of the traffic is entering into our system now. That is why I'm not able to connect to this machine. Just hold on for a few minutes. We'll see what issue that will come and how we will go and troubleshoot our security group. See, connection timed out. What we said here, whenever you get connection timeout, please say it is a security group issue. Mostly 99% is a security group issue. So now what we are doing, we are going back to our security group here, the one security group that we had here. Okay, and go to inbound rules and say edit inbound rule. Now inbound rule, it's empty. Go add a rule, say that I wanted to add allow SSH. Okay, SSH works in TCP protocol. Port number by default is 22. Suppose in your company, if you are running SSH on 2222, then you need to go here and say custom TCP, and then you give your own port. Okay, in your company, if you are not, because mostly in companies, they will override the default port because 22 or RDP, all these ports are public ports, right? So the people will try to hack, so they might use a different port. So how they will be given? They will be given as like this custom TCP. Then you can go and enter your port range. Okay. SSH TCP port 22 by default. Then source, from where you want to give some custom source. Custom source means, say for example, my network within my company starts like this 192.0.0.16. That is the network range of my company. Give that. That means only people who has the IP falling in this range will be able to access your this particular machine. This is for custom. Anywhere IPv4 address means 0.0.0/0 means all IPs in the internet. All IPs in the internet. That means I can access from my home if I have the key. You can access the same machine from your home if you have the key with you. Okay, and this is one thing. The next we have is IPv4 is a 34-bit address. We are running short of IPv4 address, so they have now come up with IPv6, which is 56-bit. It's very, very huge. Okay, we will not be learning about this IPv6, but there is an IPv6 also, and that will be represented like this: ::/0 is the representation for IPv6. Okay, and we have something called my IP. So this will fetch my IP which I am logged into now. It's a single IP. See here, I told you, right? When I represent single IP, it should be /32. So 115.99.3.3 is the IP, public IP in my house that I got from Airtel. Okay, so similarly in your house you may have a different this one. So for now what we will do, I will make it anywhere so everybody can access. I mean, we don't have to put this, it's an open permission, but in the company you will never have 0.0.0. It will be specific range or specific IPs. Then put here, you want any description, right? Allow SSH for EC2. Have this because there will be a lot of rules and so many people will be working on this security group, so they will know for what they have added this, right? And go ahead and save this rule. Once you save the rule and now you go and try to access, just see what happens. See, it takes effect immediately. As we change, it takes effect immediately. Now let's say yes, the traffic is allowed, so you are getting into your security group. So security group allows this one, right? So this is where your security group information is. It is living outside the machine, that we will show after we do some other things with the machine, right? At last I will show you and we'll prove that it is staying outside of the machine and not inside the machine. Okay, once you are inside, let it ping Google. Okay, it will keep on pinging Google. Let it do that. Go to the inbound rule, edit the inbound rule and go and delete this and save this, right? You have to save it. See what happens. The machine is freezed. No traffic is sent out of the machine because it doesn't know the traffic originated from, we have pinged from here, and the return traffic is not coming in because it doesn't know where to go, right? So that is where it is stopped now. You can play around this, right? But please do something, only then you will understand this. It's very difficult, right? I mean, just to kind of hear out everything, and if you are able to, it's very difficult to remember. So you have to work on this one, only then you should be able to get this right. Again, already the incoming traffic is blocked, so we are not even able to log in. It has already thrown out. So see, you cannot do control C anything again. Then you can go and start doing this one again. So it will take some time to get inside. Okay, so this is how your security group works. Any questions here, guys?
So Chandra, just one thing. Like in my case, I have not done like that. So I have used the existing RDP, means which is connected with basically the Windows machine. That's why I have used that one. So due to that, it is giving the connection timeout, I think.
Yeah, what you should have done, you should have gone in, remove that
Yeah.
or keep that and still add a rule for SSH. So you can use
Okay.
both for Windows and this one. So to avoid this, I
Linux.
mean, when
Okay.
we are learning this, right? Since we know this,
Yeah.
we are doing specifically, what we can do, we can also say allow, you can create one saying allow all traffic. So irrespective of the port and this one, it will allow everything, right? So let me show you the
Okay.
one that I have. I keep on using regularly, right? Because I don't want to create multiple times the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I normally do, I have one security group, which I will use for the entire course, right? Here it just says all traffic, all port, all range from everywhere. This is actually a very open permission. Okay, it's a very open permission. It is not recommended to do this. Okay, you have to be specific. Give me RDP, give me SSH, and because if there is some other thing running, it is very easy for them to hack. If you allow all traffic, all protocol, all port range, right? When whoever's
Okay.
trying to hack your system can hack. But what you should have done ideally, you should have added another rule for this one. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
You just go and click add rule and go and add here. After you save, you will get a security group rule ID. You cannot, if you want to modify this, you need to, you can change, but if you want to do anything else, you need to delete and recreate it. Delete
Yeah.
the
Okay.
entry in the rule, not the security group. Okay, fine. Any questions? Anyone has any questions?
Is there any limit of having the inbound rules?
What is it?
Any limit?
There are no limits in the inbound rules.
Okay.
At least I am aware of, there are no limits. But normally what they do is they segregate, they group multiple, they make it multiple security groups. Say one security group will have all the ports for application server. One security group will have all the ports for database server. One security group will have just only for SSH. So these three will be attached to the same machine. Okay, so that is the best practice. If you try to write all the rules in one security group, there is a chance that something might get deleted, or there is an accident, accidentally somebody might delete. Maybe your junior resource joined today and you're asking him to make a change in one of the security group. So if he makes a wrong entry, then your entire application will not work, right? So it's always better to segregate, but there is no limit for the number of rules that you can have in a security group.
Another, I have like instances on multi-region. One is in Mumbai, another is in Northern Virginia. Is it okay to have a one security group?
No, as I told you, security groups are locked to regions. So okay. We have created 724 here, right? 724 okay. We created here. Let's go to Mumbai or maybe Ohio, right? We don't have to go that far. Let's just go to Ohio and see if our security group is there. Because they're all region based. See here, there is no security group. Only one default security group is there.
Okay, understand now.
Okay, so they're all region based. That's why I told in the first, they're locked to a region.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about any other questions, guys, before we move to the next one. Please get any doubt you have, please get it clarified. It's very important. Okay, very important. Okay, let's talk about elastic IPs, right? Let's see just for an instance what are the different IPs we have and what are those IPs are, right? So for any IP, you have, for any EC2 machine, you have three types of IPs. One is public IP, one is private IP, and one is elastic IP. Elastic IP. These are the three IPs that can be there for any machine. I'll put this private on the top and I'll say you by okay. So a private IP and you have a public IP and you have a elastic IP. Now what are these things, right? So let's go to this machine and find out what these IPs are. So this is my private IP that we have. So this is fine. So this is my public IP, which I used to log in from my machine into this machine. This is fine. So we'll see, we'll talk about this, right? So private IPs are IPs which can be communicated only within your AWS. Okay, you cannot connect from here to this one using the private IP, right? Say for example, if I'm using this IP to SSH from my home, it will not go. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, these private IPs does not, you cannot route any traffic on internet using this private IPs. Okay, the private IPs, whenever you see that starts with 172 10.0 10.172 dot and 192 dot, right? These three IPs are private IPs. They are designated as private IPs. Even though it says connection timed out, you cannot get into this because they are private IPs. Okay, and one more thing you need to keep in mind, this does not change. This does not change until you terminate the machine. Okay, so this will not change at all. Okay, coming back to our, so we don't have to worry about this private IP. It will be there as long as your machine is there. Public IP, what is this public IP, right? This public IP is dynamic just don't confuse it with this words, internet routable public IP. The name itself says all these things, right? Public IP. So this IP is a dynamic internet routable IP. So only with this IP, I'm able to actually log into the machine. See, 386.192. I'm able to log into the machine because this is a public IP. It's a dynamic IP. It's a public IP. So when we say dynamic, what is going to happen, right? Let me come out of this. So when we say dynamic, that means whenever there are three things you can do in a machine, right? What you can do, you can reboot a machine, you can stop a machine, and you can terminate a machine, right? This is what we can do, right? And you can start a machine. These are all the states that the machine is. And one more state we have that's called hibernate also, right? Hibernate. Okay, hibernate. So we will see what will happen to this IP in all these states, right? So whenever I reboot, there is no change in the IP. Whenever I reboot, there is no change in the IP. When I stop, the machine gets stopped, and when I start again, I'll say stop and start, right? Stop and start. The IP will change. IP will change. Okay, will change. That is why we call this as a dynamic IP. That's why we call this as a dynamic internet routable IP. Dynamic means it keeps on changing. Then, okay, so we have this all this one. So stop and start. Then we have something called hibernate. Hibernate means get into sleep mode. Get into sleep mode. Sleep mode will not be enabled for all the instance type. For certain instance type, in this case also IP will not change because your machine is still alive. Everything is there. It only got into sleep mode, so IP will not change for you here. When you terminate, it's all gone. Total machine is gone. IP is also gone. Okay, IP is also gone. And when we stop and start, this will go change. So that is why this public IP cannot be given to anybody, right? So whenever I want to stop and start my system for some reason, you will get a different IP. Then again, you have to go to that person and give the same IP. So what they will do, they will never share this IP. Instead of that, they will create some load balancer and things. And that is why when you type google.com in your browser, what happens in google.com? This is how it happens, right? You type browser google.com. Actually, it doesn't. When you hit google.com, it goes to some load balancer of Google. Some load balancer of Google. They'll have multiple load balancer. It will go to load balancer of Google. Behind the load balancer of the Google, you have thousands of servers with the different IPs, 1.2.3.4 like that, right? They have different IPs. So if I am hitting google.com from my house, I'll go here, and from here I'll be redirected to one of the 1,000 servers, one of the IPs here. Similarly, if my wife tries google.com from her mobile, it will go to an LB. They have different LBs. it will go to the load balancer. From there, she might be redirected to another server from the 1000 server. So she might end up with an IP 6789, right? We don't know. So these are all dynamic IPs. These are all dynamic IPs. So if this IP is being shared to the customer, what will happen? If they reboot this or something goes wrong in one of the machine will not be available. So it is always better not to share this dynamic IPs with the customers, right? And moreover, we cannot remember IPs also. Our human mind can only remember names, not numbers. Okay, that's fine. So this is what we have. Let's go and prove this, right? What happens all these things when I start reboot and all. So since we have that machine already, we'll go and do all those things, right? What we can do. Okay, now go back here, refresh, and make sure everything is running and up. Go to the instance state. I told you, right? These are the instance states. You can stop, you can start, you can reboot, you can hibernate, you can terminate. Okay, so these are the only 5 instance states that we have for any EC2 machine. So let's go first reboot it, right? Successfully rebooted. It will just take very few minutes to reboot. And even though it is rebooted, you can still see that IP is 100.92. That is what we have, 100.92. So there is no change when you reboot your machine. So let's wait for 2 minutes just to see, right? In case something is happening, right? IP is same and I am still able to log in. IP is not changed, but the reboot should complete. Okay, this IP will not change for you. So you can go and what happens? Correct, right? IP did not change. 386.192, 386.192. That's what is there. Yeah, 386.192. My internet is also up. Okay, we are inside. It has been rebooted. No change in your IP. That's fine. Let's go back and now select this machine and go and stop this machine now. Stop this machine. Stop it. So when you stop the machine, right? Always remember when you stop the machine, it will first go to stopping state. Even in the stopping state also you will see the IP. Once it is completely stopped is where you will not see the IP. Okay. So it is in the transition now. So it will first be stopping stage, then it will do some processing, then it will finally become stopped. It will stop all the process and all the things from the OS, right? It will stop all those things. Then we should not be seeing any IP. And then when we restart it, we'll go and start that again. Then you will see a different IP. So that's why it's called a public dynamic public internet routable IPs.
So Chandra, is there any question comes like what are the instance states, and when we stop or start, what all the states it will go through?
Yeah, you can get the question right. It again depends on the interviewer who is interviewing you.
Yeah.
But you need to know this. The very important thing they will ask about is this IP.
Okay.
Okay. Suppose you are having an application. There will be only situations. Okay. You are having an application and you want to whitelist that IP. Now, which IP you will give? That's what they will ask you. You cannot say I'll give you public IP, because the next question will come. What will happen if you stop and start the system? Right? Your public IP will change. Again, you cannot give the new IP to them every time. Correct?
Yes.
Because you don't know when you will stop and start.
Yeah.
Because normally what they do, people to save money in the company, Friday evening we stop the system automatically, and Monday morning 5 a.m. we bring up all the development instances to avoid billing. or to reduce the billing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Monday morning my IP will change. So that is where we will talk about elastic static IPs. So this is how they will ask you the question. They will not ask you what is public IP. Like that question is like might not be there. It depends on if you're going for some experienced level position, then that is not the question for you. But you need to know, these are all the basics you need to know to answer those questions, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. It is in stop to state. See now, the public IP is gone. Private IP is still there. There is no change. 81.14 is still there. Go to the top. 81.14 is still there. Okay. Now let's go and start this machine. You can close all these alerts. And you need to refresh. Okay. It will go from pending to running state. Okay. During pending itself, it will start assigning. See, the IP is now changed. 54.211 is what the new IP is. So we had that old IP, and this is our new IP. See, so that is why they are dynamic. You can still connect with this dynamic IP, but the old IP you cannot connect. Old IP is gone back to the pool now. Try to connect, it will say connection cannot be established, or it will throw you error. So this is where your public IP is, and public IP will not be used mostly just for us to connect. Since we are learning, we are using public IP, elastic IP or static IPs, which we will be talking about elastic IPs. Okay, so this is going to throw error. Yeah, it's connection timed out. Now go and try with the new IP. All your application, everything will be there. Only that IP will get changed. Okay, don't worry about that. Now you are able to log into your machine with that IPC. The private IP only will log in. It doesn't change. Okay, so this is on your this IP. So you stop on Hibernate. This particular instance that we created does not have Hibernate. So if you go for different instance type, you may get Hibernate. We will see at the end terminate. Once you terminate, everything is gone. The total machine itself is gone, except your security groups. Your security group and the key pair will be there. Okay, rest everything will be gone. Okay, now let's talk about the next concept called elastic IPs. Elastic IPs are IPs which are static IPs, which are static. Again, they are internet routable public IP. They are internet routable public IP. Okay, they are static. Now, when we say static, right? When we say static IP, you need to pay for this. Okay, this is not free. I'll say you how you will get charged for elastic IP. Now let's go back to this. Here you can see there's elastic IP. Click on elastic IP. They are static IPs. You can allocate an elastic IP and AWS will allocate it for you. We have a soft limit that it will only allocate maximum 5 IPs. Because we are running short of IPs, he will allocate only maximum 5 IPs for you. Suppose if you want a 6th IP, you need to raise a request limit to support team, and you have to give a business case why you need the 6th one. And if they are convinced with your business case and justification, they will release 1 IP for you. Okay, this is what it happens. Now, when you do an allocate IP address, it will ask you which network border you want to have, right? Whether it's in this region, or you want in US East 2, or you want in Mumbai, right? All those things you need to say here, because this is also within that region only. Okay, that's why it says network border group, right? Network border group is US East 1 because we are in Northern Virginia. Public IPv4 address, it comes from Amazon's pool of IPv4 address. You can buy your own IP, and if you already brought some IPs and all, right, bigger companies used to buy some IPs, they have to pay. You can bring it here, but for that you need to go and talk to support, and they will put you in. And you can also have your own pool. You can maintain your own pool, and that also will be enabled if you are going back to them. Okay, so these are all public IPs. So again, we don't know still what IP will be allocated. Once you allocate, we will get some from the pool. Okay, this is the IP we get: 54.159.85.112. Now, as soon as I create this, it will get charged. Okay, the reason is elastic IPs should get associated with some running instance. Unless it is associated with some instance, it will not get charged. So if you are not keeping this assigned or associated to any machine, it will get charged. Okay, so when you create an elastic IP, you need to make sure that is associated with some running instance. And whenever you don't want or you're terminated the machine, make sure you release this elastic IP back to the pool, otherwise you will get charged. Okay, please be very careful. Most of my students get the billing in this area only. Okay, now how do we do that, right? I got this elastic IP. Let me go back to my EC2 again here so that you can see what is going on. Okay, this is our EC2, and right now we are having a public IP which we connected to, and all this is fine. We just simply scroll down a little bit right here. Scroll down a little bit. The elastic IP address is empty. Okay, so let's go and see what happens. Now go and select this IP. Go to actions and say associate elastic IP address. Okay, associate this elastic IP address to what? To a network interface or an instance, which means the IP and the security groups are always attached to the interface card, network interface card. Okay, so if you don't know the network interface card, choose the instance and select the instance. It will automatically allocate to that network interface. Choose the instance we have. This is the only instance that we have running. Go and select this. If you have multiple, this one, it's an optional. You can select your private IP also. Okay, just scroll down and say associate. Okay, it is now associated actually. Okay, when you associate this, you really your associate will, you can still associate to something else. You can dissociate also. Now go back here, refresh this page, and go to IP. See here, 54.159 something, and just scroll down here. See here, 54.159. This is the IP. This is our elastic, our static IP. Now let's go and do stop this and start and see what happens, right? And you will be still be able to log in as well. Okay, this is gone actually because that IP is not there, so it could not catch hold of that. Let's go log in again. SSH -i 0201.web EC2 user at the rate of my elastic IP. This is a static. Sorry. What happened? Okay, so you should be able to log in. But every time when a new IP is added to you are trying to SSH to a new IP, it will add that IP into the fingerprint. So next time it doesn't, it will recognize that machine if that IP is there. Okay, that's why you get this. First time you get, it says authenticity is not, cannot be established. So you add to the keychain fingerprint, so it will add that. Say yes, and that's it, right? You're able to get inside. It doesn't matter which IP. Now let's go and do the same thing, right? Let me go to the instance state quickly. I'm not going to reboot it because we know reboot will not change anything. Let's go stop here. Let's stop our machine. Just give it a minute. So this should not change even if we after stop and start the machine. You should not. You should have the same IP. That is why they are static public IPs, right? If you are in stopping stage, it will still show the IP. Once it is completely stopped is where you need to go and check. You will still have the IP attached. See here, you will still have the IP attached. Whereas in the previous case in public IP, when it was stopped, this was empty, right? This was empty. Okay, now go back and start this and see what happens. and see if we are able to retain that IP, right? So you should be very clear on this one. Your IP is still retained and you will have it here. Okay. Still you will have the same IP. So they are static and you can share this IP to anybody because this IP will not change unless it is attached to that machine. Okay. Now assume that all my work is over. I want to release my elastic IP back. I don't want, because I just only wanted the public IP because I'm just learning, right? So nothing else that we are doing. So if that is the case, okay, what I have to do, I have to go back here and first say dissociate my IP address. Now what will happen if I dissociate this IP address from that machine? Can anyone guess what will happen? Now we have an IP, we have the elastic IP is attached. All this is fine. Now I'm going to dissociate this elastic IP from this machine. What will happen?
Elastic IP will not be there, and only public IP will take its
No, both
default.
are same, right?
Right.
No, both are same, right? Both are same. Elastic IP 54, 159, 85. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. I'm trying to dissociate this. So again, please note this again. Our 54, 159 is an elastic IP. Okay, 54, 199, 159 is an elastic IP. So I wanted to dissociate this elastic IP from this instance. See, it's actually attached to the network interface ID. So just go and say dissociate. Okay, it's dissociated now. Go ahead and refresh. Come down here. See what's happening. Your elastic IP is gone. You get a dynamic public address again. Okay, you'll get another public address again, which is different from your elastic IP. So this is again the same thing, the public address. So it assigns a public address dynamically if you remove your elastic IP. So elastic IPs are static IPs. Okay, just keep that in mind. And what we need to do, as I told you, now since we have dissociated this successfully, it will start charging now, right? So to avoid that, if you are having any elastic IP that is not associated to any running machine, please go ahead and release this elastic IP back to the pool, so you no longer will be charged, but you will not get this IP again back. Okay, so you need to be very careful. That's it. So this is where your elastic IPs are. Let's talk about any questions here, guys, before we move to the next one. Just remember how many types of IPs we have and what will happen to those IPs. So you'll have a lot of actions only in this public IP, dynamic public IP, less action in private IP and elastic IP. Okay. Just remember that will be more than sufficient. Okay. Let's talk about placement groups. So what are placement groups? Placement groups are nothing but the strategies how you place your EC2 machines in the hardware of your AWS or in the availability zones in your AWS. When we create some machine, how this happens, right? So we have three types of strategies for a placement group. Share, cluster, and partition. These are the three types of placement groups we have: share, cluster, and partition. So by default, this is default. Whenever we create any machine, the default strategy is shared. That means when I create 4 machines, right? All 4 machines that I create will not be lying in the same hardware, same availability zone in AWS. They will spread across different places. So if even one goes down, I still have another 3 in another place, right? So that is shared strategy. That is the default strategy that is being followed. Next, we have cluster. When we say cluster strategy, all 4 machines will be placed in the same hardware, same availability zone. Everything will be close to each other. The reason for that, there are some use cases where you need to have cluster. When you wanted the network communication to be faster among those systems, say database or application servers, then you need to place in cluster. At the same time, there is a downfall to it. It's a single point of failure. If that cluster goes down, all your 4 machines will go down. Okay, so it is up to you to replicate the same thing in different places. So we have something called cluster strategy. The other one we call as partition strategy, where you can partition. You can say you can create some three partitions. Have one partition in US East 1A, 1B, and 1C. So each partition maximum can have only up to 7 EC2 instances, not more than that. Max 7 instances per partition. So this can be one of the questions also. 7 instances per partition. Okay. See, you have some downfall here also, but again, comparing to cluster, the damage is less here, because even though you can create multiple partition, one partition goes down, another partition is still available for you. But whereas in cluster, you are placing everything in the, so it's like this, right? Say for example, we are all we are in the house and we are all like kind of sleeping in the same room which has an AC. Suddenly AC goes down, we all cannot sleep, right? Some power goes down, we all cannot sleep. That is cluster. We are all confined to one room, right? So something happens in this room, it affects everybody, right? So when we say shared, what will happen? Two people sleep in one room, another two people sleep maybe another room in upstairs, right? Another two people sleep in the hall. So even if one of the phase goes down, what will happen? Only the two people will suffer, not all, right? So that is what your partition is. Whereas your cluster is everybody in the same room. Here this, like again, you have like two people sleeping here, two people sleeping in some other apartment, right? Some other apartment, your friend's apartment. Even something happens to my apartment, still people will not be affected in the other apartments, right? So that is your shared. By default, it's always shared. So how do we create this, and where do we select this, right? That also you need to find out. So there are two ways to create this placement group. You can go to the placement group, create a placement group, and you can give a name for your placement. And these are the three strategies that we have: cluster, spread, and partition. But when you say partition, you need to say how many partitions you need, right? How many partitions you need. You can select your partitions here. Cluster, there is no any this one. It will just put everything in the same place. When you say spread, it will ask whether you have any restrictions for the rack, or you want host only, or there is a service called outpost and you want to have only on that host, right? So those things, right? This is on the spread. By default, it is always spread and no restrictions. So they will put our machine in some hardware rack. Okay, this is the place you can create it, but where you will go and select this, right? How we will select this strategy? That will be selected when you go and launch your instance. To scroll down, go to advanced details. A lot of things are there. Here is the placement group that we will select if we have already created there, or you can go and hit on this one. You can go and create the, it will take you to the same page, whatever we saw there, right? It will take you to the same page and you can create a placement group there, and you can come and select it here, and you can say what strategy you want. Say for example, if you say placement group 1 and my strategy is say partition and I need 2 partition, you can create this group here and you come back to this place, just refresh this and you will be able to select here PG1, right? So your hardware will be placed on the partition. Okay, that's a placement strategy. There will be no much question on this, but sometimes in the exam, based on the situation, they will ask you which placement strategy is kind of suitable for this use case, right? In that case, you need to know there are the 3 strategies, and this is what you need to know. Advantage and disadvantage of placement group. Advantage of placement group: suppose you want you are having a high performance computing environment and you want everything to be faster, and if you do leave it default, it will go spread. So there might be some latency in talking to your database, all those things. Those might be disadvantage. So in that case, you can create a cluster strategy and place everything there. Again, disadvantage with cluster strategy is like single point of failure, right? If your entire cluster, something happens in that cluster, all the machines will go off. Okay, so again, we cannot say what is the disadvantage of placement strategy. It depends on what strategy you take, and each and every strategy has its own advantage and disadvantage. By default, it is spread. and that is widely used because even though we have a millisecond latency, but still we will sustain the failure. Okay, so it's up to you to go and decide what you wanted to do based on your use case and your client requirement, right? That's on the placement group, nothing else there. Okay, let's talk about key pairs. Now we have created a lot of keys, right? When we are creating any machine, we create keys, or all the key pairs that are created in the system via any other services, everything will be listed here. See the one that we created 723 yesterday, it is here, right? You can also create a key pair here, and then you can go and select it there. That also you can do. So let's say I want to create a key pair, and I put the key pair name as 0724, and you can say what is the algorithm that you want. Is the RSA key pair or ED25519? ED25519 only supports Linux. It does not support Windows at this point of time. So let's select RSA and private key format. Either you want PPK or PEM. We'll select PEM because I need to connect to Linux also, right? PEM. Okay, just scroll down and you can create a key pair. As you create the key pair, if it is new, it will get downloaded. See here, 724.1, it already got created. Okay, now when I go back to my this one key pair and see here, I will have the key. Let's go on the top. This is where we select our key, refresh here and go and see. You will still see your 724 here. We have created there, right? So it is here. So either you can go and create there and select from there, or you can create it here. So every time when you do a create here or there, it will get stored here. So what are the options we have with this key pair? These are the things we have. You can import a key pair. Suppose you have created the key pair outside AWS, like you can go and create a key pair using OpenSSL. Okay, the tool called OpenSSL. Create the key there, public private key, and upload the. You can upload the private key here. You can give the key name and browse the key pair, and it will get inserted here, and you can start using it. That you can do. And the other thing that you can do with this key pair is you can delete the key pair, or you can manage the tag. Nothing else. Okay. So you don't want to use this, right? There are so many key pairs. I'll have to delete it. Okay, so these are all on key pairs. Any questions you guys have? So we talked about security groups, elastic IPs, placement groups, key pairs. We'll talk about the network interfaces, the NIC card that we have, right? Network interface. So again, it is ENI. It's called ENI. So elastic network interface card. By default, when you create any machine, right? When you create any instances, let me show you. And Ethernet card will be created. Without the Ethernet card, you will not be able to connect at all, right? So just scroll down here. You will see network interfaces. By default, we have one, and you see here the public IP is on the network interface card, private IP is on this one, and you also have a security group, okay, which is attached to the network interface card, not on the machine. That is why we say it lives outside the EC2. Then very important thing, by default, right, the network address for this one is ETH0. ETH0 is the one that it gets created automatically, but you can go and create your own ENI also. Let's go and see whether we can create that, right? So go to the network interface, create a new network interface card, and you call it whatever you want to call it, right? You say my custom ENI. Okay, which subnet you need to select, right? So just make sure, go back here and check from where the machine is running. If the machine is running in some other region, you cannot attach it. So we have to make sure that if you're trying to attach to this one, then it should be in US East 1C. US East 1C. Where is 1C? Yeah, here is 1C. Whether you want your private IP address to auto assign, or you want to have a custom IP within that range, let it auto assign, because I don't know which will take, right? Just go and put that. And then which security group you want it to attach this 723 to this. See here, you can attach multiple security groups. Tags are optional. Just go and say create network interface. Okay, and when you go and refresh this, it is available. See here, description, my custom ENI, it is available just like our volume. We need to attach. Go, and this is like a LAN card, right? Take this guy and attach it to a running instance. Choose the instance. This guy is running now. Say attach. Your network interface card is now attached. When you delete this machine, this ENI that you created will not get deleted. You need to go delete it manually later. So let's go to this machine again and see how many network interfaces that we have now. Go to the networking, scroll down. See here, you have two now. By default, it's a ETH0. You can have only the ETH0 will have the public IP address. Okay, please keep that in mind. Okay, all other network interface card that you put can have only a private address. It cannot have a public address. Okay, so this is where you have, once it is attached, then you'll be able to see. So this works in ETH01. So always keep in mind for ENI, for Elastic Network Interface card, the default network address is ETH0. ETH0. Okay, all other custom that we create starts from ETH1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, that is on your network interface card. Nothing to do this. If you are a network pro, then you can deep dive into this and see what it is doing, right? But at least this is more than sufficient for your exam and interview. Only thing you need to just understand what is this, right? So that is on the, so these are the part that we have done with our network security. We have seen all these things. Any doubt here before we move to the very important thing, the load balancer and stuff? Before that, moving to load balancer, we will just talk about this AMIs, how we can create our own AMIs and how can we do that, right? Any questions you guys have?
No questions, Chandra.
Okay, we'll get started with the AMI. So far, whenever we were creating machines, we selected the default AMI that was given by AWS, like say Amazon Linux, Windows, and all those things, right? Now, what we are going to do, we are going to create our own AMI to be used within our organization for our applications. Okay. So we will see what are the use cases, why we need to do this, then we will do that and show you how to do that. So an AMI, or Amazon Machine Image, provides information required to launch an instance, which is virtual server in the cloud. We are aware of that. An AMI includes a template for the root volume for the instances, operating system, application servers, and applications. Launch permissions that will control AWS accounts can use to launch the AMI. Then block device mapping. We also get a, we know what type of volume is there in that AMI, right? Whether it's an EBS volume or instance store volume, etc. Select the AMI based upon region, operating system, launch permission, architecture, whether it is 32-bit or 64-bit, and then storage. Storage for the root bit is whether it is EBS storage or instance storage. So this again, when we say Linux, Amazon Linux, we have an Amazon AMI ID. That AMI ID is unique for this region only. If you go to the another region, the ID will change. Even though the template is same, the ID will change. So we select the AMI based on the region, operating system, and stuff. So why we need to create our own AMI, right? Now let's assume this scenario. You have set up your application to run in AWS. Everything is up and running. Everything is fine. It's a big application. You have configured so many things in your EC2 and everything is up and running now. Okay. After a few months, say after a couple of months, your manager is coming and saying, hey, Ashok, we are planning to set up the same thing in Japan region because we are getting some new Japan requirements and Japan customers. So what we will do again, what we normally used to do, we used to start from scratch, right? You don't have to do that. What we can do, we from the running EC2, we can take the image of that. Okay, that is called AMI, and we can create our own AMI and add top of it whatever you want to add, and just port it to Japan region and start the EC2 instance where your application will be up and running within few minutes. Okay, within few minutes it will be up and running. since it's a big organization and you have to do a lot of firewalls, so many things, security groups and stuff, it will take maximum 1 week, not more than that. So this is how you can create your own AMI. So when you create your own AMI, it is private to you or your account. Okay, so that can be shared within all your team members, and they all can launch the instance. They will all get the same application with the same configuration. Each and everyone need not go and do the configuration. Okay, so that is the idea here. So how are we going to kind of do this as a hands-on, right? So we don't have any application. How am I going to do, right? Very simple. What we are going to do, we will create an EC2 machine, and I'm going to install Apache in this. Apache is a web server, so I'm going to install Apache. Assume that my company's application is running in Apache web server. Complete full-blown application is. We will think that it is a full application, and that is how we will create. Okay, so we are going to do this. Let's see. So we already have a EC2 machine. I just need to install a Apache, and I need to just go and make some modification. We should be okay, right? Now I don't know what IP we are in, so let's go back and get that public IP and try to log in, and I'll show you how to install Apache and configure and see what we have, right? So assume that this is my application I'm setting up in my US East 1 region. Then I will try to do I will take this copy and put it in Mumbai region, right? SSH-i 0201.pem EC2 -user at the public IP, whatever IP I have. Okay, this is what we have. Okay, now you see here, whenever you log in, you get like this, right? 12 packages need for security out of 22 available. That means in this AMI, when they released, after they were released so many security patches. So we need to go and update using this command. Sudo is for root, yum is the package manager, do an update. Okay, do an update. Okay, if you don't give a Y, if you don't give a -y, it will ask you, it will check everything and say, hey, are you okay to download this? It will stop there and you need to press Y, or if you pass -y, automatically it will accept and move on. So for all automations, we have to use -y. So now we are updating all the latest packages of this AMI. There are 43 packages. It's all related to your kernels and other stuff, right? You don't have to worry. Again, it varies from OS to OS. Okay. We are done here. Okay. One more thing I wanted to show you. So there are many ways to install an application, right? You can go manually and run the steps one by one, or when you are bringing up the instance itself, right? When you wanted to bring the instances, while you are bringing the instance, there is something called user data. Okay. Just scroll down the last one and go to advanced and scroll down. Down here is the user data. So you can run some scripts here. Like if it is a Linux, you can pass a shell script here. So what it will happen while the system is coming up, after the system is booted, it will run the scripts, whatever you are asking it to do. It will do everything, and then it will bring up the system. So you will have your application, all these things installed, pre-installed for you, ready. But again, keep in mind, the more operations you do here, the more time it will take for the machine to come up. Okay, so we need to be, let me run that also for you, so that I will show you, right, how we do that. So let's go to I have a shell script. I'll show you what the shell script will do, and we will run that. Okay, we'll create a new machine for that, and then we will show you how to do the AMI stuff. Okay, this is a shell script because we are using this one. This is a shell script. Say open with Notepad. Okay, so shell script always starts with this. Is called, this line is called what? Anyone is aware of this? This is called shebang. This is called shebang. Okay, so this line should be there. If this line is not there, then it will not know that it is a shell script. So to interpret, the interpreter needs to know this is a shell script. Okay, so these are all steps we are going to do. Whatever we have done manually, we are going to do automatically. Sudo yum install -y httpd is your Apache server. Then sudo system control start your service, enable your service. When we say enable, what will happen? Every time when you stop and start the machine, automatically this service also will be started. Then you put some, this one, say okay hello world, right? So replace your index.html. So let's go and put this out. Put this here. Just go on the top and finish off other stuff, right? My Apache application, right? My Apache application. Then go to this. All this is fine. Here, keep here. I need to select because in case if I need to log in, right? In case if I need to log in. Sorry, not 72, but it's 0201. Okay. Scroll down and select the existing security group that we already have. We had a security group called 724, I believe, right? 723 or 724. 724 SG. Okay, we have this. Okay, leave everything default. Nothing else is needed here. All that is fine. Let's go and launch this machine. Now this launch, right, will take some time because we are running the script. It will take some time to do the status check pass, right? This will, after pending, you will get initialization and you will have to wait for some time for it to come up because it has to download Apache, it has to install, it has to configure. This is what they do in the organization. They don't do manually. Assume that this is a script where you have an entire script to set up your application. If you are in Windows, you have to write a PowerShell. It will be a PowerShell script that will end with PS1. Okay. If it is Linux or Mac or something, it is always shell script. It ends with .sh. Just hold on, it will take some time, but you can still go and try to. You can log into this machine also. See, if I log into the machine, I'm getting the page. But whereas here, I'm not getting the page. Can someone say me what might be the issue?
Maybe in security group you didn't give access to HTTP and HTTPS.
Absolutely, you're right. So what we have attached a security group, but in that security group, we haven't given any reference to the port number that we are trying to access. So always the HTTP works in port 80. Okay, so we need to go back to our security group and we need to modify our inbound rule in such a way that we give access to the port 80. See, we only have SSH, so we are able to log into the machine. And this time, always 80 needs to be allowed from all IPs because your users can be anywhere, right? So they want to access your application. Now save this rule, go back down and do this. See here. So this way, you have this one. Now you are assume our application is all up and running. Okay. And it is running in the US East 1 region, Northern Virginia, all that is fine. And your manager is saying, hey, Chandra, we need to set up this one in Mumbai immediately within a week because we wanted to, we are having users from Japan or whatever it is, India is coming, right? So what we need to do, select the running machine, go to actions, images and templates, click on images and templates and say create image. So it will create an AMI out of this running machine with all the things that are there. Okay, let's go and see what happens. Let's give this, okay. My custom AMI, right? Give a description for your image. Image creation will take some time. So this particular machine already has an 8 GB running root volume, but if you wanted to add an additional volume, you can still go and put it here. It's up to you. Okay. Again, after you launch that in a new machine, then you need to do all the formatting, everything, and then you need to do. Okay, that's it. And do a create image. So what will happen? The images started creating. Where you will go and see, go to images under AMI. You can see this my custom AMI images. The visibility is private and it is still pending. It will take some time to create the image. While this is creating, let's go and see whatever things that we have, right? So you can see AMI ID starts with AMI hyphen that 17-digit ID, right? This AMI ID for this one varies from region to region. So even if I copy this one to some other region, then I will be getting a new ID, not the same ID. Okay. Of course, everything inside that will be the same, but see here, source is my account ID / custom ID. Okay. So what are the different options we have, right? From this AMI, you can copy the AMI to other region, or you can edit AMI permission. So this AMI can be, it's currently private, you can share it to public. So everybody will be able to see. You are about to share, there's a warning. If you still know that you're going to do, please go ahead and make it public. So private. Also, I can share with another account. You can share with another account. You can add another 12-digit account ID. Suppose if I want to share with Revati, I can get her 12-digit account ID, share it, and she will be able to see my AMI. Or if you have an organization, right? There's something called organization. This is again actually out of scope of our course. Organization means they will have a master account. Okay, companies will have a master AWS account. That is an organization, and that organization will be used to maintain multiple AWS accounts. That's member account, right? So you can add it to the organization. Now it is available to all the member accounts of the main master account. When I say account, they're all AWS accounts. Okay, so you can add an organization and that will get into effect. Okay, so this option we have. One is for editing your permission. What else we have? You can request a spot instance for this. You can manage stacks. You can deregister the AMI. If you deregister, AMI will be gone from this machine. Okay. You can change the description. You can you can manage any deprecation you wanted, and you can also register to store the back to AMI. Okay, so you can take a backup and store it. Now let's go and see. Still pending. Okay, it will be still pending because the first time what will happen when you do this imaging? Can someone say me? Since we have volumes, if you go to snapshots, see here, it's created by the create image. So the volume is also backed up, right? The volume is also backed up. That is why it is all taking time. So first this will get backed up, only then your entire image will get backed up. So by default, the snapshot will also be there. So once you deregister, please make sure your snapshots are also deleted. Go to AMI. So mostly it takes time because of your database, I mean your volume only. Now it is available. Now what we can do with this, right? You can select this and say launch instance from this AMI. So you can launch another instance from the same AMI, or you can also go to the instances here and start creating your own instance and go and select your own AMI as well. Where do you go and find out? Go here to say my AMIs, right? Owned by me. See here, owned by me. If I would have shared with someone or someone would have shared with me, I click on this, I will get the shared one. Okay, I will get the shared one. Okay, that's fine. So this is what we are having now. Now all my application is all running, everything is fine. I have taken the image. Now I want to set up the same thing in Mumbai. So how do we do that? Just select the AMI and go and do a copy AMI. So copy AMI, there's a destination region. The source is wherever you are and destination is what you need to select. So let's go and select. You want to keep that in Mumbai. Okay, we are going to bring up this in Mumbai and do a copy AMI in Mumbai. While doing that, change this one to Mumbai. And go to AMIs. You will see the AMI is getting copied. See here, my AMI is getting copied now to Mumbai. Once it is copied here, then we can go and launch an instance with this AMI. Then all the things that should be there will be here, but except key pair and your security group is bigger because they are region based, right? So we have to create those things here. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect to this machine or whatever it is, right? So just give a minute, and once we are done, we will go and bring up this machine. So that is where your AMIs are. So now we know, like, either we can use our custom AMI or we can use a public AMI from AWS. So what happens in our organization normally is this, right? In our organizations, what they will do, AWS will release their AMI. Say for example, Linux AMI, right? They will release their AMI. So the companies will take this AMI. Okay, that means they will create a machine out of this AMI and they will install all security related softwares and compliance related softwares, right? Security related, just related softwares and everything will be installed here, and this will be created as a new AMI, and this will be given to our development teams to use. Okay, this is how it happens. So I, as a development team, if I want to put a Linux, I cannot go directly to AWS and select a Linux. That is not allowed in my company. I have to use what is being published by the security team. Okay, so this is how it works in our organization. Keep that in mind. Okay. So coming back to Mumbai, once it is copied, then we should be able to go and create a new machine and make sure our application in Mumbai region is up and running with the same content, with the same everything, right? And you can copy AMIs from here to other places also. Okay, that is also possible. Again, AMIs, cleanup of AMI is very important. If you delete this AMI, you will get charged because that is getting stored somewhere in their storage service. Okay. Don't worry, you can go and try all these things and then clean it up. You will not get any charge, but don't hesitate to try it because of it will get charged. This will take some time. Okay. Let it take some time. Okay. We will talk about just load balancer, right? We'll just try to start there and we'll see where we will go, right? So I hope you guys are aware of load balancing, right? So normal load balancing, we talked about Google, right? So load balancers are servers that forward internet traffic to multiple servers downstream. So the users over the internet, they will request, they will come to the load balancer, and load balancer will route the traffic to different machines which are attached to this load balancer. In that way, what will happen? Your user request will not go and bombard only one machine every time. The performance will also be increased, and even if one machine goes down for some reason, you still can divert the traffic to other healthy instances, right? So this is a normal function of a load balancer. Very good example is the Google. When you click on Google, you go to the load balancer. From there, they will redirect you to any of their machines which are attached to those load balancers. So you can spread load across multiple downstream machines. You expose a single point of DNS to your application. That is very, very important, right? So here, if you see in this diagram, right, what will happen? Load balancer will have one DNS name. Okay, say for example, a.abc.com, right? That is a load balancer name, for example. And behind the scene, you have this machine IP, public IP 12345, 1234, 5678, then again 01234, something you have, right? Now you need not expose this. Now, as I told you, this can be either public IPs or they can be private IPs also. If you delete something, that private IP will go off, right? So still, the user will only be calling your load balancer DNS name. They will never call your instance directly. So that way, what will happen? Your users need not know this, and you need not have so many addresses given to them. You can only expose one DNS name for your application, and you can seamlessly handle failures of downstream instances. That means when we have 3 machines attached to load balancer, if one goes down for some reason, still you will be able to divert the traffic to the other 2 and troubleshoot that one that is having an issue and attach it back to the load balancer, and that will become live and active. You have to do regular health checks for your instances, and you can provide SSL termination for your websites. Very, very important. What do you mean by SSL termination, right? So earlier days, what we used to do, we don't have all these concepts. We have a load balancer. We did have a load balancer, and that was also another machine. So if you want your users to securely access your website like HTTPS, you need to install certificate in this and all the machines that are attached. Now what is happening with this? After this cloud and all came in, your SSL, your user comes to this load balancer via HTTPS. So only one certificate is needed here. After that, behind the scene, it can be private and it can go as HTTP insecure also, because this is going to happen in a private network, not in the public network. So that way you can terminate your SSL in this load balancer. So it provides your SSL termination for your applications. Enforce stickiness with cookies. We'll talk about stickiness. High availability across zones. So you can create a multiple cross zone load balancer, and you can separate public traffic from private traffic. So that means until this point, your user 1 comes through the internet. After this, everything traverses using your Amazon's private backbone network, right? Okay, fine. So again, here it's called as ELB, Elastic Load Balancer, which means again, it is scalable. So an ELB is a managed load balancer. So whenever we say it's managed load balancer, half of the things are taken care by him. Only the configuration things is what that we need to worry about. So AWS guarantees that it will be working. It's always available for us. It takes care of all the upgrades, maintenance, high availability of this service is taken care by AWS. AWS provides only few configuration knobs. We only need to do some configurations where we can, as per our requirement, and we will be able to set up our load balancer in no time. It costs less to set up your own load balancer, but it will be more effort on your end. Of course, when you try to set up your own load balancer, it may cost you less, but there are more intensive work that you need to do. And this load balancer is integrated with many service offerings and services of AWS. Okay. As I told you, health checks are very crucial to load balancer. So load balancer will send the traffic only to the machines which are healthy. So we have to make sure we run some health checks on our EC2 machines and report back to the load balancer saying, hey, I'm healthy, and please send me the traffic, right? If it is finding it's unhealthy, it will not send the traffic. Okay, very, very important. This is one of the important questions in exam also. If one of your machine is not healthy, what your load balancer will do? Load balancer will not send traffic to that particular machine. Okay, so they enable the load balancer to know if the instances it forward to are available for the reply for request, right? So it will allow. Health check is done on port and on a route. So you can do a health check on a different port or the same port and also to a different folder. If you are already in a production support environment and you are an on-prem, you would have heard something called keep alive, right? They will have some page called keep alive, keepalive.html. That's they are doing the health check. Similarly, you can have a keep alive here and you can do. If the response from load balancer or from your EC2 machine is 200, that means it is healthy. Otherwise, the instance is unhealthy. Okay, it's just a brief on that before we finish up this. Okay, it is available now for us. So let's go and create a machine. I'm in Mumbai region. I'm creating a machine in Mumbai region. I don't have any machine, so I'm going to launch the instance. Okay, save my Mumbai app. Okay, it's just a name. That's all, nothing else. Scroll down and go to my AMI owned by me. See here, this AMI is what we need to select, and this is one that copied from US EC2. Okay, all this is fine. Key pair, see, key pair is not copied. We had 0201, that is not there. So we have something called 0703. Let's use this key pair. Okay, now where is my security group? Where is my security group? I don't have any security group. Okay, I have a security group called Mumbai SG. I hope everything is open there. Let's have it there. Okay, let's select that. So I don't have the 724 SG that we created there. So your key pair and this one will not be done here. Okay, and after this, see, this is the 8 GB that came from there. You can increase this, but you cannot reduce this. Okay, and you can add additional volumes if you want. And apart from the one that is already running, you can still go and put some other script for this particular machine, right? Suppose if you want to install some tool specific to this particular application or only in this region, right? You can go and put your scripts there. It's up to you. Let's go and launch this machine. Okay, let's wait for this machine to come up. Okay, I have an IP address. Okay, the IP address is different from the US East one. This is 13, that is 3. Okay, let's see what happens. Once the machine is up, we should be able to see whether our application is running or not, right? So this way you can ensure that your application can be set up. See here, in no time your application is up and running. This is a small application. We simply have hello world. Assume that your entire application is here, right? It will take maybe a couple of days for you to set up. That is way faster than the older technique where we have to do everything from scratch. So what we have done, we have created our application in Northern Virginia. We had copied and we have created our own AMI, and this AMI can be used by all our developers. They will see the same application whatever we have done. So this is how this one works. This is in Mumbai and this is in this one. Any questions here, guys? We have seen a lot today. Any questions? And you can also connect to the machine from here also. It will give you some small session and you can do certain things there. just moving in as root. Okay, and I'm going to cd/where. This is where the page is. Okay, cd where www html, and we have the index.html here. So just to show you, we are in different this one. Okay, so I'm just going to change this to. Anyway, we're going to delete all these machines. Huh? Don't worry. Whatever. Nothing is happening. Something is stuck somewhere. Okay, down here. I'm just changing this to red so that you know the Mumbai is always red and this guy is always blue. Okay, see the same application just to show you. This is from Northern Virginia, this is from Mumbai. Okay, so this is how you need to create your AMI, copy to a different region and bring up your application in no time. Okay, any questions here, guys?
No.
No. Okay, fine. Let's go terminate this session. Okay, now let's go and go to this AMIs. Okay, go to the AMI and deregister this AMI, so it will remove it from this region. Deregister this AMI. This AMI will not be available in this region. Okay, next go back to the instances in Mumbai, select this, close this, and fine, close this and terminate this instance. Okay, once this is done, then we will move back to Northern Virginia. So as I told you, please make sure your AMIs are cleaned up and your instance is shut down and your any snapshots are there that needs to be removed. If you are doing anything with Elastic IP also, please make sure they are getting released to the pool, otherwise you will incur some charge. Okay, we are now done here. Let's close this, go back to our Northern Virginia here. Okay, and go back to the AMIs. Okay, select this AMI and deregister this AMI. You cannot use it to launch any new instance after you deregister. That is fine. You can also delete any associated snapshots with that, right? This is a snapshot. You can go and delete it. Okay, it will delete that also. But I would recommend you to go and please check the snapshot. Go to snapshot. Delete the snapshot. Okay, now we are done everything here. We simply just have the machine, but the machine will be still running with that AMI. That's not an issue, right? So this is on your AMI stuff, right? Let's see the different types of load balancer. Next class we will go through the demo of our load balancer. So there are three types of, there are actually four types. Okay, there are four types of load balancers in AWS. One is classic load balancer, which is an old generation, and that will get deprecated, or that will be withdrawn from August or September, I believe. Okay, from this year. So we are not recommended to use the classic load balancer anymore. Okay, but that was the one that was initially published. Then we have second generation, application load balancer, and we have network load balancer. Application load balancer works on the application layer of your OSI model. So I hope you guys would have learned in your colleges, right, about your networking. When you learn networking, you would have talked about OSI models, right? OSI model, open system interconnection model. You would have learned this. Let me show you quickly. Yeah, you would have learned this, right? OSI model. So application layer. So application load balancers are called layer 7 load balancer, whereas your network load balancer called layer 4 load balancer, which works on TCP, UDP. This works on your HTTP, HTTPS. This you can remember, you might have learned this in the college. So application load balancer is called it's called layer 7 load balancer. It works on the layer 7 application layer, HTTP, HTTPS and WebSockets, and network load balancer works on TCP or TCP and UDP, and it works on the network layer of your OSI model. Overall, it is recommended to use the second generation load balancer as they provide more features. You can set up internal private load balancer or external private load balancer. So mostly we will be setting up external private load balancer. Internal load balancers can be used when you have multiple DBs running for an application. Your application will call the load balancer of the DB internal, and your load balancer will in turn divert the traffic to different DB based upon some round robin strategy. Okay. So you can also have main load balancer works on this security groups. Okay, very important, right? So you will have to attach a security group on this load balancer, which will listen only for HTTP and HTTPS from anywhere, from internet, right? So people will be requesting. Once it comes to this one, then again you redirect all the traffic back to your EC2, and EC2 will have a security group. Here is where we will say whenever the traffic comes from the security group of the load balancer, please allow. Instead of IP, we will say whenever the traffic comes from security group, please of the load balancer, please allow. That's what we will say. So your load balancer security group will look like this for 80 and 443, and your EC2 machine will show like this whenever it comes only from load balancer. Okay, we will see this in the next class because that requires a lot of things we need to do. We need to have multiple machines, and we have to show you how it gets kind of load balanced, right? So load balancers can scale, but not instantaneously. Like it needs some time for warm up. If you want to bring it immediately, please contact AWS. They will bring it up for you immediately. Again, you need to provide all the justification why you need that, right? But it will all be seconds only. Troubleshooting, when you have 4 XX errors, they are client induced errors like 404, page not found, and all those things. 5x errors are application induced error. Load balancer error will be 503, which means no capacity, or there are no registered targets to the load balancer. You will get 503 error. If the LBs cannot connect to your application, check your security groups. Okay, these are some of the troubleshooting steps. For monitoring, you have an access log that will access all your requests, so you can debug your request. And there is a service called CloudWatch, and CloudWatch metrics will give you aggregated statistics like how many connections count you have and all these things, right? So those are the things that you can get in your monitoring piece as well. Okay. We will talk about these load balancers as we go in the next class. Any questions you guys have as of today? So we have seen quite a number of topics today. So we talked about AMIs, and we talked about all the security groups, elastic IPs, placement groups, and this one we just introduced to load balancer. Our next class we will complete load balancer and complete auto scaling, and we will start off with the next service called S3, in which once the auto scaling is done, your entire EC2 is done. So we have seen all the options here. Please let me know if I have missed anything. I think I have covered everything except these two, load balancer and auto scaling. Right? Okay. Once you are done with that, please make sure you kind of terminate these machines and clean it up. When we are talking about load balancer, we will create multiple systems at that point of time. Okay. Any questions that you guys have, anyone so far? So you need to work this out and see. Otherwise, whenever I'm saying this, you will still feel that you can understand and you can do, but unless you do, you will not know this, right? So you have to play around with this, all these things. Keep in mind, all these things that we are talking about are all directly related to your interviews or your exam. Okay, that is why my notes are very, very less. It's only to the point. Okay, you may need to do some additional learning for more things, but still these are all sufficient for your interviews and stuff. These are all very key points that you need to know. Okay. One more thing. So who is someone was trying to request access? Someone called Jack somebody, right? Is it from your group? I don't know. Somebody was trying to ask me the access for our drive. I could not get his name from the email ID. It just said some Jacks or somebody, I don't know. I hope all your names are here. If anything is left out, please let me know so that I can add your names here. I hope you are all having access, right?
Yeah, Chandra, we have.
Yeah. Okay, fine. If someone is not having, please ask for it and get it. Okay. Okay, good. Any other questions that you guys have? I think I have already uploaded this EC2 deck. It contains everything, including auto scaling and all the topics there. Okay. So please work it out. You have any questions, go through my video, and even after going through the video, if you're not able to get what you want, please ping me and I will try to help you. Okay. Always, please make sure at the end of the class or end of your work, please make sure your things are clean and tidy. Okay. Don't leave anything. It may get charged and it is very difficult to find out. Even if you come back and say me, hey, Chandra, something is happening, I'm getting a lot of charge. For both of us, it will be difficult to find out, right? So better to always
So Chandra,
keep it
where
clean.
we can get the charge details? It will be in root user.
Yeah, go to the root user. After going to the root user, go on the top here, click on this and go to billing dashboard.
Okay.
As a root user, okay. Go to the billing dashboard. Let me show you my bill. Okay, go to the billing dashboard. This is the billing dashboard you have. Go to bills and it will show you individual bills for the month. It will show you the individual bills for the month. Okay, I have credits, so I don't have to pay anything. Okay, I have credits and my credits will be adjusted. So if you go and get these credits, right? These are the credits I have so far, right? $246 I have, and so far I have used only 33. Okay, so how do we get these credits, right? So by this way, you don't have to pay any amount, everything becomes free. How do we get this? There are a lot of online conferences that are conducted by AWS, which you can register, attend those conferences, give them feedback. Sometimes there is a chance they will give you $25, $50, and even $100 to some extent. Okay, and those credits have some expiration dates like this, right? See here, it is valid till end of next year. So I have to use, if I don't use it, it will just go waste, right? So this is the credit. But if you don't have any credit, don't worry, you will get a bill like this, and you can go back and you can check. Let me open one of the bill where I have paid something, right?
Okay. So conference details also we can get from here only. That if there is any conference.
No. That you just need to go to your home page here. Here is what you will get. Here you will get if there are any conference, and if you have already registered with their email campaign in your email address, you will get it in the email also. Right now they don't have anything, but I think one is coming up on August, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, see if you guys can attend that, because that might be in your working day time only, but you need to kind of plan and attend. If you're working from home, maybe you can log in here and kind of listen to those things, right? So there are a lot of events that happens, and you can kind of go ahead and see that. Okay.
Chandra,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. Actually, I mean, 2 months back, I have created an account. So some 300 rupees bill got generated. So
But
I'm
why?
getting a mail that it will be suspended if I'm
Yeah.
not paying. I have
Yes,
created
you will get it.
a free tier. So so what I have to do?
No.
Shall I?
Even though it is free tier, even though it is free tier, as I told you, right? If you have created something which is not coming under free tier, that will get charged. See here, this is some month I paid like $32. Okay, $32. So if you go down and drill down, you can see all the services where it got charged. Say this is EC2 got charged. Okay, these are all the regions it got charged for me. Go down, you can see everything. See here, the NAT gateway, which we are going to learn later. These are all chargeable. So you'll get charged here. See, 55 hours I left because I wanted to show to my, I don't want to delete the machine. I want to show to my students very next day or something, right?
Okay. Shall
So
I
this is how
delete
it
that,
gets charged.
create the new one, or shall I pay the bill?
No, create if you don't want to pay, even if you are fine if that goes off, you create a new account and start. Or if you want to retain that account, you have to pay and retain. It's up to you.
If I mean, it won't again, after that it won't come under free tier, right? I mean, after paying and all.
No, it will come. It will come. You will change your email ID and everything, right?
Okay, new one, not
You
existing
cannot.
one.
Yeah,
Existing
you
one, if I
cannot use
pay
the
bill.
existing one. You cannot create with the existing one.
Okay.
So you want to create a new account, you have to have a new email ID. You cannot use the same email ID that you used to
Yeah,
create the old account.
sorry, that is not my question. What my question is, the existing one which I have got the bill. If I pay the bill and if I continue with that account,
You can continue. That will still be in free time. But it is 2 years older. 2 years or
No,
2 months?
2 months.
2 months means okay, it will be in free time only because
Okay.
you would have done some services which is not coming under free time, so you might have got charged. But if your account is created and within a year, then it will be in free time. So it is like this, right? Either 750 hours are free or 1 year, whichever comes first. Even if you spend 750 hours within 2 months, then it will become a paid account.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chandra.
So whichever comes first, either 750 hours or 1 year. So you can see here, right? So these are the things that. So I did something on the RDS. I was showing something, so I get charged. So like this, it will drill down and you can see all the things that what has happened. And very important, the GST will also be in dollars. Okay, GST is also in dollars. So everything put together, you will get the bill, and they will generate the invoice. And on that particular day, whenever they're generating the invoice, whatever the exchange rate today, it's 80 or 81 today, as of today. Now, when I paid on October 2020, it was 74 rupees. So I had to pay 2,400 rupees. Okay, and how you can go and see the bill? Go to orders and invoices, and you will see all the invoices generated for you, and you can pay from there. Say, for example, this is April 2020. April. To somewhere here, right? And do a filter. See, these are all the invoices that got generated. Okay, for me, and where I did go and pay. Let's say if you open one of the invoice, it will be a PDF. So you will be able to open the PDF. And you remember when we created the account, we gave our billing address and everything. All this will be here: account number, billing address, and everything will be here. Okay, and this is where if you put the tax, your company will get in this AWS data transfer charges something which tag has created more account, right? That's what they will get here, and they will contact you. Okay, so this is your billing invoice that you can download and it will come to you. Okay, this is what it comes to.
And Chandra, is these monthly bills only? Suppose if we do anything which is immediately chargeable, so whether those amount will reflect immediately?
No, everything will be. You can check on the next day. Suppose if I'm having an elastic IP, I left it out today, right? Tomorrow, if I go and check, that elastic IP charge will be there. But
Okay.
you will be paying, the cycle is only monthly once.
Monthly only. Okay.
Yeah, for me, it is always 3rd of every month. Okay, so that varies from account to account.
Yeah.
Okay. So please be careful. That's why I always recommend my students to do a cleanup. Most of the people end up paying 400, 500 rupees, sometimes even 1000 rupees also. They come back running to me. And sometimes what happens, what we can do, if it is like, say, within 1000 rupees, right, you can send an email to support and say this is a free tier account, and by mistake I'm not aware of this, and it was not done intentionally. Then they will they will kind of revert the amount for you and make it 0. That can happen sometime, but I have asked my students to do that. They got that kind of levied also. Okay, but that you need to prove that, right? So what will happen is they will go back and check whether you are created daily EC2 machine or you created someday and left it as it is, right? That's getting charged. If that is the case, they will go and levy that charge for you. Okay, fine. So my request is always please keep your things tidy, right? And you have double advantage in that. One is you will not get bills. Two, you will get used to every time you create you have opportunity to go and create EC2 every time that you wanted to create an EC2, instead of having 1 or 2 EC2s and keeping that throughout, right? That will not help. So you will get used to. So even if I wake you up in the call and ask you what is elastic IP, you at least know where you clicked on that, right? Even though you don't know exactly what is elastic IP, you will know where you click, because you see this daily, day in, day out, right? You see this place, you know this is where. If someone is asked what is AMI, you know at least where I clicked the AMI, what is that, what did I see, right? You will get that into your memory, and you will start answering that immediately. So that is the advantage of creating every time the resource newly, right?
Yeah. And Chandra, one more thing, like suppose we terminate the instance, and we forget to close the bash one, like that cmd part.
No. That if you terminate, automatically you will be thrown out of that.
Yeah. So even though if we close later also, there will be no charge, because anyhow after some time I think it is
You are
goes
not.
off.
See, whatever you are trying to do from your local will not be charged, because how does he know, right, what you are doing? Only whatever is there in the AWS console resources, for that only it will be charged.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So after you terminate your machine, you will never have access to your machine. So even though you are already logged into the bash and you have terminated the machine, when you go and try to click, nothing will happen. You simply need to do a cancel on your window. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Any questions on this billing, guys? So please keep in mind, keep your account always tidy as much as possible. Okay, fine. So we will meet next week, and we'll try to complete within 40 minutes on those load balancer and auto scaling, and then we will start off with S3, a simple storage service. Okay, I will upload this video, and once it is available, please download the entire stuff. Now I'm just around 10 GB of left with space. So as I reach around 80%, I'll ask you guys to download everything. So I will go ahead and delete only the MP4s, right? Only the videos I will delete. So I will regain some space to upload further videos. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me stop the recording. Anything else, guys, you have?